Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. Grain storage corkscrew, also a fort to protect the grains. Record cold smashing through Kazakhstan, major wheat exporter. Wheat report, Australia difficulty exporting. Argentina drop, losing some 7 million tons along the way. Bread at $10, don't think about that. Ground turkey, 20 bucks. Eggs, don't even look at that either. Food riots in Pakistan. Croatians shocked after they start using the euro. Prices up. Why is New York Wall Street called Wall Street? Well, there was a wall for a fort to protect resources yet again. And as we land into 2023, be careful what you bump into, because we're going to need to weave through the danger and the opportunity. And we're going to start off a blast from the past. Corkscrew-shaped building. This was actually a granary, a grain storage facility, but notice how easy it is to defend it. It's actually a mini fort that doubles as a granary, so you can protect it. Notice the dates. 1743, following the famines of 1740 and 41, grains got expensive. So much they had to guard it. Let's look at the Great Frost of 1741. 7 weeks, but apparently in Paris it was even longer than that. Sub-zero for so long with so much rain and so cold the temperatures in the soil with frosts. And then a mega flood. Not the best conditions for growing, but this is what it looks like today. A little bit different angle for you. But it looks like something out of Game of Thrones, Dubrovnik if you've been there, into Croatia. Protecting the food seemed to be the main #1 priority once you had it in hand. And why is it through history that everywhere you look it was about protecting against marauders? Look at this, 1640s, the Dutch inhabitants of New Amsterdam built a 12-foot high wall to protect the city. British bypassed it 1664, taking it by sea. I think you needed a seawall in addition to that, didn't have it. That was Wall Street, New York City. But you can see throughout chapter after chapter after chapter of history, it's always about protecting the food supplies, because these famines, these bouts of food growing instability, supply chain breakdowns, collapse of superpowers, whether it was England or it was the Dutch or it was the French or the Spanish or the English, didn't matter. This is a repeating cycle we're back into. If your New Year's resolutions revolve around weight loss, you're not alone. A recent survey reveals nearly half of Americans also picked eating healthier, exercising more, losing weight as their goal. Although 9 out of 10 who make those resolutions are confident they're going to stick to it, truth is nearly 80% of them fail. One of the easiest ways I recommend jump-starting your New Year's resolution is with this amazing keto powder. No matter where you are in the health journey, you can tap into many of the shocking weight management benefits of being in ketosis with it. I noticed a significant difference in my energy levels as well as appetite. I add it to my morning coffee before I head outside to do tasks around the farm, or tea. It tastes great while keeping me a little more full between meals. Help support your weight management goals this January. Take 51% off your order by going to adaptwithketo.com. When you do order, you're going to get some special free bonuses. That's adaptwithketo.com, or click on that link in the description box below. And now on with the video. Off Bloomberg here, $10 a loaf for bread. Inflation snaps demands for basic. Your staples are going up and up. How much do you think a 50-pound bag of wheat will cost you after this? Grade A, cage-free, $8.89. Remember, Costco is now having an egg shortage along with Safeway. Don't worry, you could go to turkey. Turkey burgers if you don't want to eat the eggs. Oh wait, the ground turkey? I see a price tag on there for $5.99. That is gouging. How do you suddenly charge $19.99 for something that was previously $5.99? This gouging is going to continue, so please get ready for it. You'll pay anything for food to eat. We are just at the cusp of it. It has finally arrived to the shores of the United States. This is going on elsewhere around the world. But look at Jimmy Dean. Griddle cakes, 8-pack, almost 15 bucks. So you're spending almost $2 per out of the package there. And comparing another price, $7.52 for the same 18 count, but this is brown, not white eggs. Jumping over to the cereal aisle, screen grab, $8.59 for the puffs. You know, that stuff used to be like $2 or $3. Junk food was the cheapest and should be and still is the cheapest out there, but look at these price increases. And this is a super interesting one that I found on the right. What you see in the back behind that receipt is all they bought for $115. A juice, a soy milk, some toilet paper. Unbelievable, the price is running. And to say that the cost of food's only increased 10.6% is a travesty. What kind of fake numbers are those? Rent up 10% almost, if you can find a place to rent. So with that, let's take a moment of zen. We're in the winter. Spring planting is coming really soon. You might want to secure some seeds. Any types of seeds. You're going to need proteins, you're going to need sugars, you're going to need leafy greens, you're going to need the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that come with a variety of garden vegetables. I was looking through quite a few sites over the last day or two because I want to order also for this spring, and there are so many things sold out. You are absolutely going to need to move quickly. Now on to Kazakhstan, the light pinks there. What do we see? These are in degrees Celsius, so when you're going down 30 degrees Celsius or more, below the normal, you're coming into what just happened in the United States, super freeze. You're looking at 50 degrees Fahrenheit below the normal, right over one of the biggest wheat growing regions in Central Asia. Very little snow cover this year, same type of scenario. The wheat crop and other ag is going to be smashed and frozen solid. So put it in perspective for a second. You know, we're going to lose an enormous amount of whatever was in the ground due to the super freeze event in the United States. Southeast U.S., you know, spring wheat, winter wheat, whatever it is that they got going out there, depending on how south they are, frozen. And if we take a look at what's happened in California, major food growing, vegetable, nut, and fruit basket of America, super flood. Then we had the hurricane that wiped out the oranges in the citrus industry in Florida just a few months back. The Hunga-Tonga eruption has put the most water vapor in the atmosphere ever recorded in human history, quote unquote. Now we're starting to cool and get down to a year without a summer, affecting southern hemisphere temperatures, southern hemisphere agriculture. We got the Ukraine that's even getting more bombasted and less infrastructure. Their farming's not going to be a pittance of what it normally is. It's probably going to come in around maybe 20% of their arable land planted for the year after we get into this planting season. We got many months yet before that's going to happen. Black Sea embargoes, fertilizer reductions out of the EU because there's no natural gas going into the chemical plants. It is just a perfect storm. And now we have political unrest beginning in Brazil, another major grain exporter. So let's take a look at Argentina for a second. And this will be right off the Global Wheat Report. 80% of the crop in the bin yields are better than expected, but I'm wondering with the record floods in New South Wales, how they were able to make up in the other states for this. But, you know, creative accounting could be responsible for that. But here's the thing I don't get. Last sentence, logistics and export capacity remain a barrier for wheat exports out of Australia. So what they're doing is they're saying they're claiming that it's all-time record high wheat production ever in Australia. But remember, New South Wales, they lost almost all their crop. It was sprouting on the heads. It was so wet with record floods, once in a 1,000-year storm, 3 times during the growing season. They're going to tell you all these magic rosy numbers, but they can't export it. Oh, how convenient. Now it's just a statistic on a paper. Now look down to Argentina. Wheat crop originally was estimated at 20.5 million metric tons. They've dropped that to 12.5, 12.4. So what you're seeing right here is also going to drop. After the initial assessment, that's initial assessment, it's going lower just from word on the street in South America. And then we look over at January 1st, which is already passed here, that the insurers are not going to cover vessels in and out of the Black Sea, Ukraine, Russia, Belarus. So that is going to limit the amount of any kind of traffic coming out of there. If you're not going to insure it, nobody's taking their vessel in. And here's kind of a wild card. Ukraine's infrastructure minister said that no vessels were currently expected to arrive in Ukraine for loading, which goes right on top. You're not going to ensure nothing's going in. So that food corridor is going to cease almost immediately. And look at all those ships, 94, waiting in Turkey for inspection. Now, what's the bottleneck there? But look at the bottlenecks across the United States as well. Lowest wheat exports in 50 years. Now, a lot of that had to do with the mega drought on the Mississippi River. And again, we're seeing something same, what's going on in Australia where they can't export. So then we look at the millions of acres planted, and this is where it gets the rubber meets the road, because what you're seeing here, acreage, don't even consider the bushels per acre at what they used to be. We're lacking fertilizer, lacking herbicide, pesticide, fungicides. The yields are not going to be percentages of what they were normally. So yeah, yippee-da-doo that it's going to put this much acres out, but the yield off of each acre is going to decline. And then a nugget out of Brazil, if you remember back to the first couple days of November, the farmers were having to replant the first corn crop due to excessive rains. So what we're seeing across the board is just this perfect landscape, like I said. The grains are going to be lean coming out this year. So the Northern Hemisphere grain trading, commodities brokers, that sort of thing, physical delivery. But as soon as they understand what's happening in the Southern Hemisphere, where the crops aren't going to come out at nearly the yields expected, then we're going to watch things go to the moon at that point. The commodities traders, they're all just holding their breath. They're waiting. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Well, they're about to see what's happening because the reports coming out of the Southern Hemisphere of planting delays, non-plantings, as you saw, Brazil had to replant. The delays in planting are gargantuan so far. You have about another 3 to 4 months. Once the understanding of those grains aren't going to be nearly the volumes they should be to balance out the shortages we're having in the Northern Hemisphere, which I explained just a minute or two ago in the video. Once that realization comes together on the financial markets and the traders of commodities, that will be the last chance you have to buy food at a reasonable price. Because for that next 1.5 year, 1 year and 3 months, South America is going to continue to well underproduce the normal volumes of grains coming out. Because we saw Sri Lanka first and now we're seeing Pakistan. And you look it up, Egypt, and so many places are having difficulties with citizens angry because their food prices are so high, or the inavailability to purchase the foods, shortages. And all this civil unrest happening in Pakistan is because 4.5 million tons of wheat are not there. What happens when this turns into 20 million tons of wheat, or 40 or 50 million tons of wheat not available on the planet for sale? It's going to come to the cash price, whoever can pay the most. So you see Croatians shocked by soaring prices after adopting euro currency. Well, the same thing happened in Italy. Remember, way back when the euro was introduced, Italy was changing over to the euro, and their prices literally doubled overnight. So the kuna is also moving over to the euro. Retailers, they're getting blasted with the price too. The price of goods and services, key groceries, bread, coffee, that sort of necessities are now way more expensive. The wave of price hikes sparked outrage among citizens. You're looking at it everywhere. Everything's going up in price. Everybody's going to get super angry. And it's time to take a deep breath in the sunset and see how this plays out over our farm fields right here. Because it's all about the food. And there's going to be guards in every single supermarket. Here we go, Mall of America. It's just the beginning. Screen security, 27 entrances. Oh yeah, and you thought that would just be at Mall of America? Nope. What was this? Whole Foods? Oh yeah, you have to scan and get the biometrics to enter the store, go through this turnstiles, etc. This is the protection of the food that is inbound as we speak. And open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Supermarket now is closed between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. They might want to update the sign to 21 hours. They could just erase a couple of the white lines and it would be 21 in the circle still. Just saying. And there's opportunity in the danger. Oh, my friend, hello. Let's start a garden together. Speaking of storable foods, My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, 3-month emergency food supply. That link's in the description box below. And tomorrow night, Thursday, 10 p.m. to midnight, streaming across 8 different platforms, Ransom Godwin and myself, freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. We're going to be streaming on the Many Ice Age Conversations podcast on YouTube and the Adapt 2030 channel on Rumble. Hope you can join us there, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your valuable time.